Part 6. The Curse of the Bureaucrat and a Young-at-Heart Sage. There are two main paths in human history: the relationship between people and the relationship between people and nature. Confucius was a master of the first, laying the foundation for Chinese civilization. But he seemed to know very little about the second. Perhaps it was a limitation of his time. His student, Zhuangzi, later summed it all up with one sentence: "An excellent scholar should become an official." This phrase, like a glass of mead, seeped into the minds of every scholar in China, giving birth to the superboss of the bureaucratic hierarchy. From then on, our brightest minds all went into government. Our philosophers studied interpersonal relationships, and few bothered to explore the mysteries of nature. The few who dabbled in technology were dismissed as practicing petty tricks unworthy of a higher purpose. This unfortunately became a great regret for our civilization. During his 14 years away from Lu, Confucius was a homeless vagabond going on a roadshow to promote his ideal society. He was even attacked by thugs a few times, only to be saved by his students, who acted as his bodyguards. He proposed a simple standard for a harmonious society. When the world is in order, the common people do not complain. In other words, if people are happy and their lives are stable, who has time to vent about the government? Later, Lu began to decline. The official who drove Confucius away, Zhuangzi, had a last-minute change of heart on his deathbed. He realized he had made a huge mistake and urged his successors to bring Confucius back. Confucius, feeling homesick, finally returned to his hometown at the age of 68. After his return, Confucius's students were still a mixed bag of all sorts. One day, a brat or all-know-it student got on his nerves so much that he blurted out, "Only women and petty people are hard to deal with. If you are too familiar with them, they become insolent. If you keep them at a distance, they complain." The meaning is straightforward, but the scope of his criticism was so broad it was like dropping a grenade. Confucius could never have imagined that his one sentence would be exhumed and flogged 2,500 years later. However, he did have a premonition, once saying, "People will remember me for the spring and autumn annals, but they will also condemn me for it." This proves that every action of a famous person, from an ordinary remark to a world-saving act, will be recorded by history and debated for eternity. What can you do? It's your own fault for becoming famous. In his old age, Confucius kept the heart of a youth. When he discussed ideals with his students, he just chuckled at those who talked about governing the world. But when one student said his ideal was to get together with friends on a spring day and go swimming and singing by the river, Confucius's eyes lit up with longing. Later, a busybody based on this story created a humorous riddle. Out of Confucius's 72 successful students, how many were young and how many were old? The answer is 30 young ones and 42 old ones. The reason? The student said, with 5 or 6 young men and 6 or 7 old men. 5 times 6 is 30, and 6 times 7 is 42. This is the origin of the dad joke. Confucius was old and sick. He often muttered, "I haven't dreamed of the Duke of Zhou for a long time." He knew his mission was nearing its end. He said, "The phoenix does not arrive. The river does not give up its diagram. The world has been without a true way for a long time." It was time for him to go meet his idol, the Duke of Zhou. One evening, Confucius leaned on his staff, waiting for his student Zikong to return from a mission. When he finally came back, dusty from the road, Confucius wept. Why have you come back so late?" Many of his accomplished students, along with his own son, had already passed away. 7 days later, Confucius passed away at the age of 73. After his death, his students compiled his sayings into the Analects, a classic that has shaped Chinese civilization for 2,500 years. When someone tried to criticize Confucius, his student Zigong replied, "There is no point. Confucius is like the sun and the moon. He cannot be tarnished. A person's slander is like trying to dirty the sun and moon. It is just an overestimation of oneself." That is the highest praise a fan can give to their idol.